My parents disowned me, so I became rich. But now they want me back in. When I was 17, I opened a letter that changed everything. Full ride to UCLA for nursing. My hands shook so hard I dropped it. My dad snatched it up, his face darkening. He ripped it in half without a word. 3 generations of Garcias have run this restaurant, he said. You think you're too good for us now? That night, I heard them fighting. Mom's voice. She could have a better life. Dad's response made my stomach drop. She walks out that door. She's dead to us. I called my favorite teacher, Mrs. Wilson, crying. The next morning, while my parents worked the breakfast shift, I left with 1 backpack and $237 saved from tips. My goodbye note said, I'll make you proud someday. Dad's only response was a text. You're no longer our daughter. First day at UCLA, my roommate unpacked designer clothes while I hid my single suitcase. That night, I cried in the shower so nobody would hear me. The cafeteria manager hired me on the spot when I said I could work at 4:30 a.m. I learned to sleep sitting up between classes. Thanksgiving, everyone went home except me. I picked up a 12-hour hospital shift that paid double. An elderly patient coded during my shift. The nurse couldn't find a vein for the IV. Without thinking, I stepped in. I can see it, I said, sliding the needle in perfectly first try. The doctor looked shocked. Where did you learn to do that? He asked after the patient stabilized. Making salsa at my family's restaurant, I admitted. You develop an eye for veins and tomatoes, peppers. Second year, I specialized in difficult IV placements. Patients with words like impossible veins in their charts specifically requested me. I sent my parents a Christmas card with my phone number. It came back marked return to sender. Meanwhile, my skill became known across 3 hospitals. A pharmaceutical company offered me $95,000 to train their staff. By graduation, I had $170,000 saved and job offers in 4 states. At 25, I started Veinfinders Medical, hiring and training nurses with my technique. 6 months later, we had contracts with 17 hospitals. I bought my first house at 26, cash. Each night, I'd stand in the empty living room thinking, look what you made me do when you threw me away. At 28, my company hit $2 million in revenue. A medical journal featured my technique. That same week, my cousin called. Your dad had a massive heart attack, she said. They're losing everything. 7 years of silence, and I was speeding to Phoenix. The restaurant's sign was half burned out. Inside, cockroaches scattered when I opened the door. Mom had aged 20 years overnight. Dad lay in the corner booth, oxygen tank beside him. Medical bills covering the table. $347,000 in debt. No insurance. Why didn't you call me? I demanded. Mom couldn't look at me. Your father forbade it. Dad's eyes finally met mine. We made a terrible mistake, he whispered, voice barely audible. You were right. We were wrong. The hospital wanted $45,000 by Friday or they'd stop his treatment. The bank was auctioning the restaurant next month. I had 3 choices. Walk away like they did to me, save them without conditions, or something else entirely. I took out my phone and made a call. Cancel my meetings tomorrow. Family emergency. Then I faced them. I'm buying the restaurant. Not for you, for me. You'll work for me now. With health insurance, fair salary, and professional management. Mom started sobbing. Dad's monitor started beeping faster. There's one non-negotiable condition, I continued, my voice steady despite my pounding heart. We're starting the Garcia Family Education Fund. Every year, 5 Phoenix students get full college scholarships. Mom's sobbing stopped. You can't do that. Dad looked panicked. Maria, don't. She deserves to know. Mom's face went hard. We had another daughter after you left. Named her Isabelle. She's 17, applying to colleges. My chest tightened. Dad said quietly, we tell her about her dead older sister who had potential but died before she could use it. Mom pulled out her wallet. A girl who looked like me at 17, smiling in our restaurant uniform. She's our do-over. We praise her for working here. We tell her family matters more than leaving. I stared at the photo. You replaced me? We couldn't live with failing you, Mom whispered. So we made a version of you we didn't fail. Keys jingled at the front door. A voice called out, Mom? Dad? I'm here for my shift. The door swung open and a girl walked in wearing the same green Garcia's restaurant polo I used to wear. She had my hair, my build, even the way I used to tie my apron. She stopped 3 feet inside, frozen, staring at me. 5 full seconds passed. I counted them. You're not dead, she said. Mom and Dad both started talking at once. Isabelle, honey, let us explain. This isn't what it looks like. We were going to tell you. Stop. Isabelle held up one hand. Her voice was calm, but her face had gone completely white. She kept her eyes locked on mine. They said you died in a car accident when I was 3. There are photos of your funeral in the album upstairs. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. They didn't just erase me. They literally killed me off. Did they disown you? Isabelle asked me directly. Is that why you left? Yes, I said. She turned to our parents. So everything was a lie. It wasn't a question. Dad reached for her, but she stepped back. Mom tried to speak, but Isabelle cut her off with a look I recognized instantly because I'd given them the same look 7 years ago when they told me I wasn't their daughter anymore. How long have you known? I asked Isabelle. She finally looked away from the parents. I found photos of you hidden in the attic 4 months ago. Baby pictures, report cards, a UCLA acceptance letter taped back together. I've suspected the death story was fake since then. Isabelle, please, Mom started. I've been accepted to Stanford, Isabelle continued, talking to me like our parents weren't even there. Full scholarship. They've been pressuring me to reject it and stay at the restaurant. She paused. They did the same thing to you, didn't they? I nodded. Dad made a choking sound. Mom sat down hard in the nearest chair. Both of them just watched as their 2 daughters pieced together the pattern they'd spent 17 years trying to hide. Can I stay with you? Isabelle asked me. I have nowhere else to go. Yes, I said immediately. Pack your things. Already done. She pulled car keys from her pocket. My stuff's been in my trunk for 2 weeks. I was just waiting. Waiting for what? I asked. For you, she said simply. I figured if you were real, you'd come back eventually. They couldn't hide you forever. We walked out together. Behind us, Mom started crying again. Dad didn't say a word. In my car, Isabelle was quiet for the first 10 minutes. Then she said, I used to dream about you, before I found the photos. I'd have these dreams about an older sister who protected me from things. I thought I was just lonely. Maybe some part of you knew, I said. Maybe. She stared out the window at the passing streetlights. Or maybe I just wanted someone who understood what it felt like to live in that house. At my place, she dragged a laptop bag from her car. My house was modest. 3 bedrooms, normal furniture, nothing fancy. But Isabelle looked around like it was a palace. You really did it, she said quietly. You really got out and made something of yourself. Yeah, I said. And you're going to do the same thing. Inside, we sat at my kitchen table and she opened a folder on her desktop labeled Evidence. I've been documenting everything since I found those photos, she said, clicking through files. Voice recordings of them guilting me about leaving, texts where they say family loyalty matters more than education, even videos. She played one. Dad's voice filled my kitchen. College is for people who don't value family. Your sister, your dead sister. She thought she was too good for us. Look where that got her. The date stamp said it was from 3 weeks ago. I felt sick. How many of these do you have? 47 recordings, 92 text screenshots, 15 videos. She scrolled through them methodically. Every time they tried to manipulate me, I documented it. I have Dad saying I'm being selfish for wanting Stanford, Mom saying real daughters stay home, both of them telling me I owe them for raising me. She clicked on another file. Mom's voice this time. We sacrificed everything for you, Isabelle. Everything. And you want to abandon us just like, a pause, just like selfish people do. They can't even say your name, Isabelle noted. In all these recordings, they never say Maria. It's always your sister or selfish people or just silence. Why? I asked. Why did you collect all this? Isabelle looked at me. Because I knew if you came back, we'd need proof to make them stop. I couldn't do this alone, but together, she closed the laptop. Together, we could actually win. She pulled out a notebook next. I also kept a journal. Dates, times, what they said, how I felt. My therapist, I've been seeing a school counselor secretly. She told me to document everything in case I needed it. You've been planning your escape for 4 months, I said slowly. Longer, she admitted. I've been planning since I was 15, but I didn't have proof until I found your photos. That's when I knew they were capable of serious lies. So I started recording. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about a 17-year-old girl smart enough to build a case against her own parents, strategic enough to wait for backup, brave enough to keep living in that house while collecting evidence against them. She was stronger than I'd been at her age. The next morning at 6:47 a.m., someone started pounding on my door hard enough to rattle the frame. Dad stood there, Mom behind him. Both of them looked like they hadn't slept. Dad's face was red, his breathing heavy. Isabelle needs to come home right now, Dad said. He looked past me into the house. This is kidnapping. I'm 18 in 2 months, Isabelle called from the living room where she'd been eating cereal. And I left voluntarily. You're still a minor, Dad said, louder now. Maria, if you don't send her home, I'm calling the police. Right now. I'll tell them you coerced her, manipulated her, filled her head with lies about us. Lies? Isabelle appeared beside me holding her phone. You mean like this? She pressed play. Dad's voice came through the speaker, clear as day. If that dead sister of yours had stayed, we wouldn't be struggling now. Don't make her mistake. Don't be ungrateful like she was. Don't throw away your family for some fantasy about being better than us. The recording was from 2 weeks ago, based on the date stamp on the screen. Mom's face went dead white. Dad opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No sound came out. I have 46 more recordings, Isabelle said calmly, plus texts, plus videos. Some of them are worse than this one, way worse. You want to call the police? Go ahead. But if you do, I'll send every single file to every single person in our family, every cousin, every aunt, every uncle, everyone at church, all your suppliers, everyone who leaves reviews on Yelp. They'll all know exactly what you did to Maria and exactly what you tried to do to me. Isabelle's hand was steady on her phone. Mine would have been shaking, but she'd been preparing for this confrontation for months. You don't understand, Mom tried. We love you. We're trying to protect you from making a mistake. Like Maria made? Isabelle interrupted. Yeah, I can see how terrible her mistake was. Company worth millions, her own house, helping people for a living. Truly tragic. Don't be smart with your mother, Dad snapped, finding his voice. Or what? Isabelle challenged. You'll disown me too? Tell people I'm dead? Buy another daughter to replace me? That last part hit them like a slap. Mom actually stumbled backward. Get off my property, I told them. Now, before I call the police myself for harassment. They left. Dad's hands were shaking so hard he dropped his keys twice before getting in the car. As they pulled away, I saw Mom crying in the passenger seat. You okay? I asked Isabelle. Honestly, she watched their car disappear down the street. I feel amazing. I've been scared of them my whole life, but they're just sad, pathetic people who destroy everyone around them because they can't stand themselves. 3 days later, I signed the papers to buy the restaurant. My lawyer, David Chen, was this no-nonsense guy in his 50s who'd built his career on family business disputes. He structured it so my parents became employees with fixed contracts, fixed salary of $42,000 each per year, health insurance, scheduled hours, 2 weeks vacation, standard stuff. They'd work for me now. During the signing, Isabelle sat next to me. She'd insisted on being there. David pushed papers across the table in his downtown office. Dad's hand hovered over the signature line. I found something else, Isabelle said suddenly. She wasn't looking at any of us, just staring at the wall behind David's head. Last month, hidden in their bedroom closet under some old blankets. Mom went very still. Dad's pen stopped moving. My adoption papers, Isabelle continued. She finally looked at them. I'm not your biological daughter. You adopted me 6 months after Maria left, from an agency in Tucson, Catholic Family Services. I turned to stare at them. What? Neither parent said anything. David shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Should we, take a break here? This seems like a private family matter. No, Isabelle said. I want them to answer. Right here, right now, with a witness. She looked directly at Dad. Did you adopt me to replace her? Silence. The clock on David's wall ticked loudly. Did you? Isabelle's voice cracked just slightly. More silence. David was looking between all of us, clearly wishing he was anywhere else. Oh my God, I breathed. They bought you. They literally went shopping for a replacement daughter. David cleared his throat. Maybe we do need that break. They requested a baby who looked like their family photos, Isabelle said. Her voice had gone flat, emotionless. The adoption file says, parents prefer Hispanic heritage, dark hair, similar build to family. They had specifications, like ordering a custom car. I wanted to throw up. These people didn't just throw me away. They went shopping for a new version they could control better. The caseworker's notes say you were particularly interested in infants who resembled the family's existing photographs, Isabelle continued, clearly reading from memory. You brought pictures of Maria as a baby to help them match me. That's enough, Dad said, his voice tight. Is it? Isabelle pulled a folded paper from her pocket. Because I have the file right here. Want me to read more? There's a great part where you tell the caseworker you're ready to try again with raising a daughter properly this time. Dad finally spoke. We had so much love to give. After Maria left, we were broken, empty. We rescued you from the foster system, Isabelle. We gave you a home, a family, everything you could want. You bought me as a replacement part, Isabelle cut him off. Don't dress it up. You went to an adoption agency and said, we want one that looks like the defective model we threw away, like I was the appliance. Mom started crying. We loved you from the moment we saw you. Why didn't you tell me? Isabelle demanded. 17 years. 17 years you let me think I was your biological daughter. When were you planning to mention I was adopted? When I was 30, 40? Never. We didn't want you to feel like second choice, Mom whispered. Isabelle laughed. It was the ugliest sound I'd ever heard from her. But I was second choice. I was literally the replacement model. You even said it in the adoption file. Trying again. She turned to Dad. You gave me everything? You gave me a script. You gave me a role to play. You gave me her life with different rules so you could win this time. Dad's face went red. We gave you a roof over your head, food, clothes, education, stability. You gave me the same speech you gave Maria, Isabelle interrupted. Word for word. You're being selfish. Family comes first. How dare you think you're too good for us? The exact same script, just a different daughter. Tell me, did you even change the wording or did you just copy-paste your manipulation tactics? She stood up. I'm going to get some air. Sign the papers or don't. I don't care anymore. After she left, David looked at me and said quietly, that's one hell of a kid you've got there. She's not mine, I said. But yeah, she is. I looked at my parents. You're going to sign these papers. You're going to work for me. You're going to stay away from Isabelle unless she decides otherwise. And you're never going to contact any adoption agencies ever again. Are we clear? Dad signed. His hand shook so badly the signature was barely legible. Mom signed too, tears dripping onto the paper and smudging the ink slightly. David, I said, make sure there's a clause that if they violate the no contact order with Isabelle, they're terminated immediately with no severance. Already in there, David said, pointing to paragraph 17. Back at my house, I found Isabelle in my guest room, her room now, sitting on the bed staring at a small notebook with a floral cover. What's that? I asked. I found it in their room when I was looking for my adoption papers. She held it up. It's like a diary they kept during my first year with them. Mom's handwriting mostly, but some entries from Dad. She opened it to a random page. I sat next to her on the bed and read over her shoulder. The entry was dated March 15th, 8 months after I'd left. Isabelle is much easier than Maria was at this age. She doesn't question authority. When we tell her the stove is hot, she just believes us instead of needing to touch it herself like Maria did. She accepts our guidance. We won't make the same mistakes this time. I felt sick. I turned the page. Another entry from April 2nd. Isabelle cried today when we raised our voices during dinner service. Maria would have yelled back and stomped off. This one understands respect. This one knows her place in the family hierarchy. Thank God we found her. And another from June 10. Took Isabelle to the restaurant today during the lunch rush. She loved it. Didn't ask about school or college or anything outside the family business. She just wanted to help us. This is what a daughter should be. Grateful, obedient, loyal. Thank God we got a second chance to do this right. The entries went on like that, page after page of them celebrating every time Isabelle showed none of Maria's stubborn independence. They'd literally graded her on how not like me she was. Every milestone was measured against what I would have done at that age. One entry near the middle made my hands shake. Sometimes I catch myself looking for Maria in Isabelle's face. They do look similar. The agency did an excellent job matching features. But then Isabelle smiles and does exactly what we ask without argument. And I remember, this is our do-over daughter. This time, we won't fail. This time, we'll shape her correctly from the start. They saw us as projects, Isabelle said quietly. Not people, just projects to perfect. Like science experiments where they could control all the variables. She flipped forward several pages. There's more. Pages about how to shape my behavior, which punishments worked best, how to discourage questions about the outside world. They literally strategized how to make me compliant. She showed me an entry from when she was 2. Isabelle asked about the park today, told her good daughters stay home and help family. She cried but accepted it, making progress. Maria at this age would have asked again and again until we gave in. Not Isabelle. She's learning. And another from when she was 5. Isabelle's kindergarten teacher says she's very bright, should be in advanced reading. We're declining. Don't want her getting ideas above her station like Maria did. Smart is good, but too smart leads to ambition. Ambition leads to leaving. We need her grounded, not dreaming. They deliberately held you back, I said, horrified. Oh, it gets better, Isabelle said bitterly. She flipped to an entry from when she was 12. Isabelle mentioned college today. Casual comment about when I grow up. Shut it down immediately. Told her the restaurant is her future and that's something to be proud of. She seemed confused but didn't argue. Must be more vigilant about monitoring what she watches on TV and who she talks to at school. Can't let outside influences corrupt her like they did with Maria. I wanted to drive back to David's office and rip up those contracts. Let them lose everything. There's one more, Isabelle said, turning to the last entry. It was dated 3 months ago. Isabelle is 17 now. Same age Maria was when she betrayed us. Watching her carefully for signs of the same defiance. So far, she seems loyal. But we've been pressuring her about Stanford. She got accepted. We found the letter hidden in her room. She hasn't told us yet. This is the test. If she stays, we succeeded. If she leaves, we failed again. Can't survive another failure. Can't lose another daughter. We'll do whatever it takes to make her stay. She owes us that much after everything we invested in her. Invested? Isabelle repeated. Like I was a stock portfolio. She closed the notebook. You know what the worst part is? I actually loved them for most of my life. I thought they were good parents who just worried too much. I didn't realize I was living in a cage until I found these. I'm sorry, I told her. I'm so sorry I left you alone with them for 17 years. You didn't know I existed, Isabelle said. And honestly, I'm glad you left, because you proved it was possible. Every time they told me family was everything and leaving was betrayal, some tiny part of me thought about you, this mysterious dead sister, and wondered if they were lying. Like, if you really died in a car accident, why did they get so upset when I asked questions about you? Dead people are supposed to be mourned, not forbidden topics. She looked at me. You were my hope before I even knew you were real. That probably sounds crazy. It doesn't, I said. It sounds like survival. The next morning, I woke up at 5:30 to someone knocking softly on my bedroom door. Isabelle stood there in pajamas, holding her phone. They won't stop, she said. Look. She showed me her messages. 17 missed calls from Mom overnight, 12 from Dad. Voicemails I could see even without playing them. Mom crying, Dad angry, both of them begging. The texts were worse. Mom, Isabelle, please call us. We love you so much. Maria is filling your head with lies about us. She's always been manipulative. Don't let her poison you against your family. Mom, you're breaking my heart. I'm your mother. How can you do this to me? Mom, we rescued you from foster care. We gave you everything. This is how you repay us? Dad, your mother is worried sick. Stop being dramatic and come home so we can talk like a family. This whole thing is ridiculous. Dad, Maria has always been jealous that we moved on after she abandoned us. She's using you to hurt us. Can't you see that? There were more. Dozens more. They sent me stuff too, I said, pulling up my own phone. Messages from Dad. Isabelle says she wants to come back, but she's afraid you'll be angry. Stop using her to get revenge on us. You're poisoning her against us. She's confused and vulnerable. Let her come home. We know you hate us, but don't punish Isabelle for our mistakes. She needs her family. Isabelle stared at my phone, then at hers. They're lying to both of us, trying to make us think the other one wants to bail. They're desperate, I said. Together, we're too strong. They need to separate us to control us. It's basic manipulation. Divide and conquer. Then we don't let them. Isabelle's jaw set in a way that reminded me of myself at her age. We end this. Today. Together. No more games. We called them from my kitchen and put them on speaker. Demanded a meeting at the restaurant in 2 hours. No lawyers, no other people. Just the 4 of us. Why? Dad asked suspiciously. Because we're giving you one chance to tell the truth, Isabelle said. The whole truth. About everything. Or we're done forever. We hung up before they could argue. 2 hours later, we walked into Garcia's restaurant. My restaurant, legally, though the sign still had their name on it. They were already there, sitting in the corner booth. The same booth where I'd found Dad with his oxygen tank. They looked hopeful when we walked in. Like maybe they'd successfully driven a wedge between us overnight with their dueling text messages. We slid into the booth across from them. Isabelle put her phone on the table between us. Recording app already open and visible. Red dot blinking. Why did you really disown Maria? Isabelle asked without preamble. The real reason. Not the restaurant legacy speech. Not the family tradition stuff. The truth. Dad and Mom looked at each other. Some unspoken communication passed between them. We've explained this already, Dad started. No, I I interrupted. You gave me speeches about tradition and family and loyalty and 3 generations of Garcias. But that's not the truth. That's the story you told yourselves so you could sleep at night. Tell us the real reason. We've been honest with you, Mom tried. You bought a replacement daughter, I snapped. You faked my death. You documented your do-over project like you were training a dog. You don't get to talk about honesty. Silence fell over the table. The restaurant was empty. I'd made sure of that. Just us and the ghosts of 3 generations of Garcias who'd worked themselves to death in this place. Tell us, Isabelle said quietly. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking slightly. Or I walk out of here and you never see me again. Your choice. You've got about 30 seconds to decide. More silence. It stretched so long I could hear the refrigerators humming in the kitchen, the ice machine dropping cubes, the clock on the wall ticking. Then Dad exploded. Because you rejected us! He slammed his hand on the table hard enough to make the salt shaker jump. We gave you everything, Maria. Everything we had. And you wanted more. Like we weren't enough. Like this family wasn't enough. Like all our sacrifices and hard work and suffering meant nothing to you. There it was. The truth underneath all the other lies. We built this restaurant from nothing, Dad continued, his voice shaking with rage or grief or both. Your grandfather came to this country with literally nothing. Your grandmother worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week, for 20 years. They never took vacations. They never bought themselves anything nice. They poured everything into this place so we'd have something, so you'd have something. And I gave my entire life to it, he went on. My entire life. I never traveled, never pursued other dreams, never did anything except work in this restaurant so it would be there for you. And you got one piece of paper from some fancy school and decided you were too good for us. It was never about tradition, I said slowly, understanding finally clicking into place. It was about ego. You chose strangers over your own parents. Mom joined in now, her voice high and tight. Some college we'd never heard of, some career we didn't understand, over the people who raised you. Do you know how that felt? Do you have any idea? Our own daughter looking at us like we were just obstacles in her way, like we were holding you back from your real life. The way you looked at this place, Dad said, gesturing around the restaurant, like it was a prison, like it was beneath you. Your grandparents built this with their bare hands and you couldn't wait to escape from it. So you disowned me to punish me for wanting my own life, I said. We disowned you because you disowned us first, Dad shouted. Every time you talked about nursing school, you were really saying we weren't good enough. This life wasn't good enough. We weren't good enough. You wanted to be something better, which meant you thought we were something worse. Isabelle spoke up, her voice steady despite everything. And when she did that, you bought me to prove you could win. Mom turned to her, reaching across the table. No, honey, that's not. We loved you. Stop lying, Isabelle cut her off. Just stop. You've been lying for 17 years straight. I'm done with the lies. We're both done. She pulled the folded adoption file from her pocket and spread it on the table. The agency matched you with me specifically because I resembled your family photos, Isabelle said, pointing to a highlighted section. It's right here in black and white. Match based on physical similarity to family of origin. You brought pictures of Maria as a baby to help them find a replacement who looked close enough. That's standard matching criteria, Dad tried. How much did you pay for me? Isabelle interrupted. Neither parent answered. They both looked at the table. How much? Still silence. I already know, Isabelle said. I called the agency last week pretending to be you, Mom. Got them to send me copies of all the financial records. So I'll ask one more time. How much did you pay for me? Dad's voice was barely a whisper. $45,000. Legal fees, agency costs, everything combined. Isabelle laughed, but there were tears in her eyes. So I cost less than Maria's college tuition that you refused to support. That's actually kind of funny, you know? Like from a certain angle, it's hilarious. You threw away one daughter over money for education, and then paid almost the same amount for a discount replacement model. The math almost works out. Don't talk about yourself that way. Mom reached for her again. Isabelle jerked back so hard she nearly fell out of the booth. Don't touch me. You lost that right when you lied to me every single day for 17 years. I watched my parents crumble in real time. Dad's face had gone gray. Mom couldn't stop crying. These awful gasping sobs that sounded like something was dying in her chest. We were broken, Mom whispered between sobs. When Maria left, we were completely broken people, shattered. We made terrible decisions. We know that now, but we did love you, Isabelle. We do love you. You have to believe that. You love the idea of me, Isabelle corrected her. The obedient daughter who did what she was told. You loved me as long as I followed the script you wrote. The second I deviated, the second I became a real person with real dreams, you tried to crush it out of me. She paused, wiping her eyes roughly. Did you even read my Stanford application essay? The one I worked on for 2 months? It was about wanting to be the first person in my family to graduate college. I wrote about how proud I was of my parents for supporting my dreams, even though they never got that chance themselves. Mom sobbed harder. That was 2 months ago, Isabelle continued relentlessly. Before I found the photos, before I knew Maria existed, I actually believed you were good parents who wanted what was best for me." She looked at them with something like pity, mixed with disgust. "I wrote you love letters in an essay, and you never even read it because you were too busy planning how to manipulate me into rejecting Stanford. We were scared," Dad said, finding his voice. "Scared of losing you like we lost Maria. Scared of being alone again. Scared of failing twice. So you tried to trap me," Isabelle said. "Just like you tried to trap her. And you know what? It would have worked. If Maria hadn't come back when she did, I probably would have rejected Stanford. I was that close to doing exactly what you wanted." She held her thumb and finger an inch apart. "That's how good you are at manipulation. 17 years of practice and you almost won. I almost gave up my entire future because you convinced me that's what good daughters do." She stood up abruptly, the booth squeaking. "But here's the thing you never understood about either of us. We're not your property. We're not projects you get to perfect. We're not replacements for your broken dreams. We're people, and people deserve the truth." Isabelle pulled out her phone, tapped a few buttons. "I'm going to send you something now. Both of you. Check your email." I watched them pull out their phones with shaking hands. Their faces went white as they read. "That's everything," Isabelle said, her voice perfectly calm now, clinical almost. "Every recording, every text, every video, every document. The adoption papers with your special requests highlighted in yellow. Pages from your diary about molding my behavior. Dad's recording about Maria being dead. Mom's texts about family loyalty mattering more than anything. All of it, organized into a nice chronological timeline with explanations and context." "Why," Mom started. "I'm sending that exact email to every single person in our extended family and community in exactly 2 minutes," Isabelle interrupted, checking her watch. "Aunt Rosa, Uncle Tommy, the Garcias in Tucson, the Rodriguezes, the Herreras, your church group, the restaurant suppliers, your business partners, everyone. Not as revenge, as protection." "Isabelle, please don't," Dad begged, reaching for her. She stepped back. "I'm sharing this so everyone understands why Maria and I are leaving and why we won't be coming back. This is the truth you never wanted anyone to know. This is what you did to 2 daughters." Her finger hovered over the send button. "You can beg me to stop. You can threaten me. You can cry. You can promise to change. But I'm doing this because 17 years from now, I don't want some other adopted kid finding photos in an attic and wondering why her parents are liars. I don't want you to have the chance to destroy anyone else." "We'll lose everything," Mom whispered. "The restaurant, our reputation, the family, everything." "You already lost everything," I said quietly. "The moment you chose control over love, the moment you decided your daughters were projects instead of people." Isabelle hit send. For a moment, nobody moved. Then both their phones started buzzing, and buzzing, and buzzing. Text messages pouring in, call notifications lighting up the screens, email alerts pinging over and over. The responses came fast. Within an hour, my phone blew up with calls and texts from relatives I hadn't heard from in 7 years. Cousins saying they had no idea what happened to me. Aunts saying they'd been told I died. Uncles asking what they could do to help Isabelle and me. My cousin Lisa called crying. "They said you died in a car accident your sophomore year of college. We had a memorial service and everything." "How could they do that?" My uncle Roberto. "I asked about you once at Christmas dinner 3 years ago, and your dad said, 'We don't talk about the dead.' I thought he was grieving. He was just lying." Aunt Rosa. "I'm so sorry, mija. If I'd known, I would have helped you. We all would have." Mom and Dad's phones were ringing constantly. They didn't answer, just sat there staring at the screens as the calls kept coming and coming. By the end of the day, the restaurant got review bombed. Not from us, we didn't touch it, but from community members who'd read Isabelle's email and were disgusted. 1-star reviews talking about how they treat family. Reviews saying, "Don't support this business," and "The owners are manipulative liars." Someone posted the full email on the community Facebook page. It got shared 200 times in 4 hours. Suppliers started calling. I heard Dad on the phone with the produce guy. "No, please. We've been doing business for 15 years. The guy apparently hung up on him. The church group called, asked them not to come back to services, said their presence would be too disruptive given recent revelations. By the end of the week, my parents were pariahs. Family members wouldn't return their calls. Friends stopped talking to them. The restaurant was hemorrhaging money as customers stayed away in droves. I kept paying them their salaries because the contract required it, but I didn't set foot in that building again. I hired a manager to run it and told him to keep my involvement quiet. Isabelle moved in with me officially, turned my guest room into her room, put up posters, arranged her books on the shelf, made it hers. One night, about a week after the email went out, she came downstairs at midnight and found me working on my laptop in the kitchen. "Can't sleep?" I asked. "Keep having weird dreams," she admitted, sitting across from me. "Like I'm back in that house and I can't leave. I'm trying to walk out the door, but my legs won't move. That'll probably happen for a while," I said. Took me 2 years before I stopped having nightmares about them. Did therapy help? Eventually. I closed my laptop. "You should probably see someone who specializes in family trauma and manipulation." "The school counselor already recommended someone," Isabelle said. "I have an appointment next week." We sat in silence for a minute. Then she said, "Do you think they'll ever understand what they did wrong?" "Honestly, no," I said. "People like that, they can't see past their own pain. They were hurt when I left, so in their minds, everything they did after was justified. They probably see themselves as victims. Victims, Isabelle repeated bitterly. They victimize 2 daughters, and they think they're the victims. That's how abusers work, I said. They rewrite the story so they're always the hero or the martyr, never the villain. Isabelle moved to Stanford in August. I helped her pack everything, which wasn't much since she'd been living out of her car for weeks before moving in with me. We loaded up my car with suitcases and boxes and drove to Palo Alto together. Her dorm was in Stern Hall, 4th floor. Her roommate Ashley was from Seattle, already putting up posters when we arrived. They hit it off immediately, both of them talking about their intended majors and favorite books. After we got everything unpacked, Isabelle walked me down to my car. "You're really okay?" I asked. "I'm terrified," she admitted. "But also, I'm free. For the first time in my entire life, I get to just be Isabelle. Not replacement Maria, not do-over daughter, just me." She hugged me tight. "Thank you for existing. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for being brave enough to leave the first time so I knew it was possible. Thank you for waiting for me," I said. "Thank you for being smart enough to collect evidence. Thank you for being brave enough to use it." My parents called, they texted, they emailed. Neither of us responded. The restaurant struggled hard. Without community support, without family connections, without the reputation they'd built over 3 generations, it barely stayed afloat. I kept paying them their salaries because the contract required it, but the place was bleeding money. My CFO suggested selling it. "It's a drain on resources," he said. "Cut your losses." But I couldn't. Some part of me needed them to see it every day. The restaurant that had been more important than their daughter. The legacy they'd valued over love. I needed them to work there and remember what they'd chosen. 3 months later, Isabelle called me from Stanford. "You sitting down? Should I be?" "I've been in therapy twice a week," she said, "working through everything, and my therapist asked if I'd consider talking to them, to get closure or whatever." My stomach dropped. "Do you want to?" Long pause. Then, "No. Actually, I realized something in therapy. I don't need closure from them. They were never my real parents. They were just the people who bought me and tried to program me like a robot. Why would I need closure from people who never really knew me?" "That's fair," I said. "I'm changing my last name," she said suddenly. "Legally. I looked into it and I can do it now that I'm 18. The paperwork isn't even that complicated." "To what?" "Garcia," she said. "I want to keep Garcia. It's your name. The name you made into something good, something successful. Would you mind if I kept it?" I had to pull my car over because I couldn't see through the tears. "Isabelle Garcia," I managed. "It fits perfectly." "Yeah? Yeah. Okay, good," she said, and I could hear her smiling through the phone. "Because I already filed the paperwork yesterday. I just wanted to make sure you were cool with it." A year after that first confrontation in the restaurant, Isabelle came home for winter break. She'd grown her hair out longer, had this confidence about her that hadn't been there before. She walked differently, talked differently, laughed more easily. We made dinner together in my kitchen. Real Mexican food, the recipes our grandmother taught me before she died, the ones I'd taught Isabelle over FaceTime during her first semester. "You know what's weird?" Isabelle said, chopping cilantro like she'd been doing it her whole life. "I don't miss them. I thought I would. I spent 17 years thinking they were my parents, loving them, trying to make them proud, but I don't miss them at all." "They were never really there to miss," I said, seasoning the chicken. "They were performing parenthood. You can't miss a performance." "Exactly." She paused, knife hovering over the cutting board. "Did you miss them after you left the first time?" "Every day for about 2 years, I admitted. And then one day I realized I wasn't missing them. I was missing the parents I wished I'd had, the ones who would have been proud of me no matter what I chose. But they weren't those parents. No, they never were." My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from a number I'd blocked months ago had somehow gotten through. "Mom, please, we just want to talk. It's been a year. We're sorry. We love you both so much. We've changed." I showed Isabelle. She read it and handed the phone back. "You know what I realized in therapy last month?" "What?" "They don't love us. They love the idea of being loved by us. They love the feeling of having daughters who owe them something, who need them, who can't survive without them. But they don't actually love who we are as people. They never did." She went back to chopping. "Delete it. They had 18 years with me and 24 with you to love us for real. They chose lies and manipulation instead. That's on them." I deleted the message.